Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Excellence. I'm your host, Todd Baldwin, and today we have Amy Longspaugh, owner of Clearwater Plumbing. Amy, how are you doing on this beautiful Friday?
Oh, it's a great Friday. I mean, how much better is it to start a weekend with the spring, like weather coming our way, especially after last week.
Only in Texas can it go from 20 degrees to 80 degrees in 1 week. So I agree.
Yeah.
So, Amy, thanks for so much for hopping on here. Tell me a little bit about Clearwater Plumbing. I'm sure you can do a much better job introducing your company than I ever could.
Okay. Yeah. So we are just a family owned plumbing company here in North Texas, Tarrant County side, really. We specialize in residential, commercial service and repair. But more importantly, we've kind of found a place where we love to be innovative. So finding some of those things, kind of hopping into the drain world out there. And then a lot of homes in our area have cast iron still and some of these older pipes. So we've learned how to renovate and educate customers on what they have. So besides that, we have a team of about 34 employees, I think now. And let's see, what else could we say about it? It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Tell everybody where you're located and what areas do you guys serve?
All right. So we are actually located in Northwest Tarrant County, or Fort Worth, up by Eagle Mountain Lake. However, we will service anything within 45 minutes pretty easily. Of course, for the right help, if we're going out to help somebody with something specific, we would go further. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Fort Worth and then 40, what about a
You know,
45-minute radius is kind of your wheelhouse, but obviously we'll go a little bit further. Dallas Fort Worth, it's just grown and grown and grown. So you got to be careful of that windshield time, right?
we do. We try to be smart about it though.
Well, Amy, you've been in business for over 15 years, which is a long time in any service industry. So what has kept you in it when things got hard early on?
Yes, so we kind of you have to be really good at pivoting, I think, based on what's out there and what the market's doing, and kind of what the need is. In 2008, 2009, we switched kind of from more of a construction type plumbing company to the service side. And that's kind of when I decided I really liked doing this too, because kind of a servant's heart and providing that type of relationships with our customers is really what draws me in. And so I think that helps us create a different type of culture too. So since then, just kind of knowing our relationships with the people that call us and establishing and building that has helped us stay in business this long.
That's awesome. Yeah, 15 years. Congratulations on being in business and growing and thriving. I always like to say there's no easy business out there. I hate when people say, well, that's an easy business. If I was only had that business, and I'm like, there's no easy business, right? If you're a business owner, you get exactly what I'm saying. So you talked a little about early on, but when you think about clear plumbing today or clear water plumbing today, what are you most proud of?
The who works with us, like our team, it was kind of a turnaround a few years ago to reestablish our culture. We love being an educating company too, so we bring in quite a few apprentices that we're teaching them side by side, um, with us, and then they stay in the team and in the family. I I think that the group that's there, you either fit or you don't fit, and almost everyone there is a collaborative team. So that's what makes us work is every morning they get together, they talk about what they had the day before, what's ahead of their day, they lean on each other. Um, just last night we were out at a project a little late and three other guys hopped in and went over there to help them knock it out and finish it. And it's just that's what makes us, a little different. I like that.
Yeah, culture is it's so crucial, right? And having a healthy organization. So when you talk about a team member, tell us a little about what does a good team member look like at Clearwater Plumbing?
Well, that's a good question. Uh, it really is. My biggest thing with that is accountability.
Yep.
Being able to be accountable to yourself and those around you. But, outside each one of our office doors, there's a sign that says, don't just bring the problem, bring the solution.
Ooh, I
So,
like that.
yeah, a great team member is accountable to themselves and those around them. And then they aren't just leaving you with a problem, but maybe thinking through and trying to offer some solutions to that problem. And I think that's what makes a big difference.
I'm gonna steal that one. Don't just bring a problem, bring a solution. Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, yes, I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that one for our team. Still kind of on the culture topic. What's a mistake maybe with culture you made early on that you'd handle differently now?
I can answer that. Um, I think allowing someone to feel too individualized, not keeping everybody into the team collaborative type side, right? Sometimes, I mean, you have great performers out there, and I mean, there are some plumbers that are just amazing, and they can go out there and they can do a lot. But when they kind of get off track and hop out of our systems and processes, it changes the culture immediately because then they become individualized, instead of part of one unit. And I can look backwards and see that where that happened several times, and we end up losing some great team members over that. Equally, keeping the person at home happy.
Sure.
So if we acknowledge who is at home supporting our employee, our team member, then they go home and they had a bad day or they did some, and they're just venting. If that person on the other side is like literally just lifting them up and listening, and they're like, "Hey, you got a great place to go back to. This is just a bad day." But we fell off for a minute, like bringing in the spouses and making them feel valuable too. That was a big adjustment we had to flip back because you could see that immediately.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally get that. Um, let's talk a little bit about and I love that we talked earlier about your culture, and I love how you told me you'd made just huge, change and transition. It's really paid off, with not only with your business, but you see it throughout the whole company and feeds into your clients, right? Which at the end of the day, you're there to serve them and obviously get repeat clients, good reviews, all that good stuff. Which kind of leads me into the growth um, part of this. I'd love to talk about what you are doing moving forward. So 15 years, right, in the game. Some owners start to coast, some push forward. Where do you see yourself on that spectrum right now?
So where do we see that? That's a great question because we talked about this yesterday, kind of had the big company meeting for the future, like, our state of the union, as they might say. Um, Growth. So a lot of times in the home service industry, owners and teams come out and they're scaling to sell, right?
Right.
That's become the new thing to do. I believe that our growth is not amount of how many trucks we can get out there and how quickly we can raise that revenue, but more about how we can continue to grow the education side of our company, being a leader in bringing more people into the trades and helping them get their licenses. If we can add 3 more apprentices this year who are ready to license, that'd be great growth to me. I also think just really bringing in a few more key benefits that is a sign of growth. Like if we can offer more to our team, and then they have more to take home, that helps them a work-life balance. How do we fix that? I know a lot of people are just like revenue, revenue, revenue. How big do we get and how many trucks? But I think it's really about how much bigger we grow what we have inside. We need to add some more trucks, but it's not like a run to the cell either.
Sure. Well, you want to make sure you continue to service the clients right at your standard. I love that you're into education. You've got apprentices that you guys are grooming, bringing in, get their license. I love all about that. And apologize on the era of years, 22 years. I'm in that same range, of years in business too. And nowadays, growth to me is not what's my top line really. We're really more focused on what is our bottom line, right? So, 20 years ago it was about go, 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 but as I've gotten older, it's who cares if you make a cajillion dollars, but you don't make any money, right?
That's
So,
right.
or I guess produce, your top line's this big number, but yet here you are with no profit. So I love that. That's a great mentality. I think a lot of business owners make mistakes of they think growth is adding more trucks and so forth, and they don't get that foundation set first before they add the truck, right? So I love that. That was a great answer. What's your biggest bottle or the biggest operational bottleneck that you've experienced as you've grown over the years?
A solid leadership team. Um,
Well, all
I
goes back to culture and their people.
It does. Yeah, I would say that that is the biggest one. Kind of in this industry, you have these certain titles and these certain positions you're supposed to fit into, right? And it's like this service manager kind of role that kind of comes in and they're supposed to kind of lead the whole team and they keep everybody in line and hold them accountable to their KPIs. Um it just never worked for our culture, and we tried and we tried and we tried. So, we kinda went into, like, a team lead situation, and last year, we allowed the entire company and even our part-time and our high school students that work for us, to all nominate 3 team leads based upon a core value. So they were able to nominate 3 of our plumbers, and they had to be licensed in the truck, and there were little couple little key points to that, uh, and align it with a core value and explain why they thought that that core value aligned with that guy. Um, it was a rocky start because then you get we had this new team that was supposed to be leading, and everybody's like, "Well, what do we do now?"
Yeah. Yeah, I love how so much of your, answers, I mean, it goes back to culture, it goes back to people, team, everybody, paddling the same way on the boat. We talked about when we visited early before our podcast that, I talked to you how my organization, we're digital agency, we went through a program called EOS,
Oh, yeah.
Entrepreneurial Operating System, and he said you went through a similar program called SOS, which is Service Operating System, is that correct? Did I say it right?
That's correct.
So just tell kind of high level about how that, what that is and how that really helps your organization.
Yeah, so we tried, EOS, about 10 years ago, and we pulled some pieces from that, but however, for our industry, that was a little it didn't really fit. So we were kinda still trying to fit that square, round hole peg thing, but SOS was developed for this industry, for the service model, and, it has allowed us to establish those, responsibilities. We get together once a week. We have our IDS. We have our to-do list, who's accountable to what. And it's really helped kind of take those things that are floating out there. It's like when somebody passes you and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, we need to redo the tech playbook in the trucks. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, wait, who took that? It really does make a place for accountability and responsibility, and that's kinda what I like about SOS, yeah. But it kind of fits the service industry model a little bit better, keeping some of those key meetings more where we can handle them because we are out in the field and going, you know?
Yeah, it sounds so similar to EOS. I bet if I looked at both, there's a lot of similarities. But you're right, accountability, action, like who's going to fix or who's going to update the book, the tech book. And I love you mentioned IDS for those that don't know what that is. That's issues. Is that right on your side too? SOS, IDS, or
Well, is it issues or is it identify, discover, and solve?
yeah, we call them issues, but yeah, yeah, and the cool thing about both those programs, it gives your leadership team once a week to dive into those and really be bold and um, hammer out the things that are slowing you down or could be problems or so forth. So we found that it's not always the most fun part of the meeting, but it's super beneficial and everybody can just be open and honest, not take anything personal. you know?
Right.
Do you experience that too?
Yes, we open with reminding everybody that this is not personal. This is not, leave the ego at the door is kind of what we say. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other part of that are those rocks, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
EMS and SOS, they do that, which, we can all get bogged down in the day to day and we forget our where we're headed in our goals. But even to establish just quarterly goals that you're trying to knock out and be accountable to, it makes a difference. It keeps you kind of moving forward while paddling through each day there, you know?
Sure. 100%. Amy, I'd love to dive in a little bit of marketing. Like I told you, I'm a digital agency, so I love talking to entrepreneurs about um, marketing channels in general, and then also about digital marketing, even kind of drill down a little bit more. I find it fascinating to hear what's working, what's not, and just I'm kind of on this um, path to where I want to put together this playbook of like the perfect what is the perfect agency, right? Because I know a lot of business owners get frustrated with marketing and agencies in general. So, at kind of a high level, what channels are currently bringing in the most consistent leads for you guys?
Well, that's a good question. We kind of had a little bit of a marketing hiccup last year. We were with one kind of, with one agency, and kind of their model changed, right? So kind of what their moose that they were chasing changed, and they were kind of working with more of the private equity companies that were spreading the leads across multiple companies. That hurt us. So this is, we had to revamp and redo that. But honestly, the best the best leads are the ones that we bring in by keeping in touch with our return customers. So there is
Wells and
that.
Yep.
Yeah, how do you stay in front of them, right? And I don't know if we totally have knocked that down on the digital side. Um and it's like, well, how do you stay in there? Like, how do I open my phone and Anthropology knows every day that they should show me something that I wanna buy, right? How do we do that and get in there with our customers? We're gonna figure that one out. But on the bigger scale, Google obviously is where it is for this. We've been learning TikTok. Oh my gosh, with this freeze we just had, we had our first TikTok go viral,
Wow.
and I think it's got, like, 1,000,000 views now. It's
Wow. I'll have
pretty.
to go check it out.
Yeah, it was up there, and it wasn't even this great production, right? So I think that's what happens with social media is you kind of put too much pressure on what the production's supposed to be. Instead of just hopping out there and throwing the TikTok on there, throwing the reel out there, or getting in that space, and we try to make it perfect. It definitely wasn't perfect, you know? I mean, we weren't in uniform. Our plumber wasn't wearing shoe covers in the home that we were showing on there, but it hit something, and it's catapulted. So I think that that's the biggest lesson we can take from the social media side is that.
Yeah, we tell our clients all the time, just keep posting on social media or have someone post or we can do it for you. But Um, we call social media or kind of evidence, right? It lets people who do see your page or that you're active, you're in business, right? And then you never know when that one post may actually go viral or have a big hit, right? So consistency, always be posting. Don't get discouraged because even if your followers are low or getting low views, if clients come across that or new clients, you never know who's going to see that, right? And it lets them know that hey, they're active, right? This page has got continual content. So, good job on the viral video. I will go check out your TikTok.
Oh,
You
yeah.
mentioned something that resonates with me. Google, the big evil empire, Google, or maybe it's not evil, but I know a lot of business owners get frustrated with Google. This is kind of my pain point part of marketing because I love to hear what frustrations business owners have, right? So when we think about Google, paid search, the organic side of the house, what frustrates you most with Google?
So one place that would frustrate me the most is that we lost our LSA campaign, right? Local service ads. Um, and it and how they ended up taking us out as a qualified business after we've been established and we have our reviews and everything was they we were getting calls after hours, but they weren't getting those response, or that's what they claimed that to be. But it took 2 years to kind of rebuild that LSA piece up, but that was a great lead for us. Pay per click, in a area like we are, PPC, it's expensive. You know, it to be able to get those leads in our area, in our metroplex, those are costly leads, and it's hard to kind of convert those sometimes, right? Organic is the best. However, we can keep feeling that organic side. Um, and I'm just learning a little bit about marketing, right? That wasn't my thing until 3 years ago, and I'm really still diving into it. But I'm like, how do we get further into the organic? I think it comes with the blogs and your website and how you get in front of people. But how does Google manage that for us? I always wonder.
It's the mysterious black box, right? SEO. And so Google doesn't, they don't give you a playbook, meaning they don't tell you the formula, right? One plus one plus one equals three. So there's a lot of best practices out there, but I could talk to you all day about that. Maybe we talk off topic, but
Yeah.
or off the podcast. It's I hear a lot of the same things. So it's just it's to me it's very fascinating. To some it may be, I don't want to talk about marketing, but I know listeners. I guarantee you, people in the service area, they have these same things. What's when we talk about digital agency here, right? Don't hold back. But what is your biggest frustration with working with a digital agency?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Well, we have one, but I asked because I'm
I can answer
truly
that.
interested in hearing that from business owners.
Yeah, authenticity. Is that the right word there?
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
Keeping us authentic. I think it's really easy to kind of get that, it's like the stock photos, it's like some of those stock quotes and some of those things that are out there. But how do we keep getting our real story and who we are out there? We have the content, but sharing it digitally is tough because it's easy to throw in what's available fast. I would say that, and then second, sometimes I think that we write and we share at and we dumb it down too much a little bit, right? So the language, if we spoke in a little bit more precise language, um, could it have more power? Could it have more, life to it? That's those are my two places with that. But again, this is not my wheelhouse. So I ask you what you think about that.
About digital
Often,
agencies or yeah. Well, I think so. In our world, we if I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times when we are talking to new potential new clients. Right? Is hey Todd, or whether it's one of our sales members, hey, I love what you're saying. Sounds great, but the last agency said the same thing, and they were great. We loved them when we were signing up with them, but then once we got started, after about 90 days, they just seemed to kind of disappear. Communication really went down, and um, couldn't get a hold of anybody. I didn't know what my data, they wouldn't, and so there's a really a bad reputation with digital agencies in this space. So that's why I like to ask, because I just like to hear from business owners what's changed, what's not. But we hear that all the time, and I think it's just because it's a my joke. There's a digital marketing agency on every street corner, and it's doesn't you can look like a full blown big agency, but maybe a one or two man operation, right? So, and I know a lot of people promise the moon, and then knowing that everything they're telling that client is not true, or maybe 50% true at best. Knowing that, hey, I can get some money for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then eventually I know I'll lose that client. So I tell people all the time, there's a lot of red flags if you're talking to a digital agency, and for example, organic. And I agree, our clients say organic's the best lead out there off of Google. Paid search would be the second one, and LSA has been a really good lead source too. Google keeps changing it, but that red flag, if you're let's talk about organic and their promise, hey Amy, we can have you on page one in 3 months or 4 months or 2 months for these keywords. Those are red flags, because what they're doing now is they're not being truthful, and they're promising you something that they can't guarantee, because you can't buy traffic in the organic sphere. We can for pay per click. So if they're telling you that, And you ever hear that with an agency? I say run for the hills, right? They're not being authentic with you, right? And so that is a huge, huge thing. To finish up on that topic, just look for the red flags when talking. If you're ever talking to a digital agency, and make sure they're not promising. If they're ever promising you the moon that they can rank you really fast organically in 2 3 months, those are red flags. You want to run from that agency because they're not being honest with you. Um, I never use the word guarantee when we talk about organic because I would be lying to you then. But what I can tell clients, hey, we're going to work our process, and here's how what the process is, and we've had great success getting clients to rank organically, to increase those rankings, and so forth. So, great question. I love when people ask me questions, Amy. So, let's kind of look forward, fast forward a little bit, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So, Amy, 3 years from now, what do you hope Clearwater Plumbing to be?
All right. I hope we at that point have established ourselves in in the place of educating and bringing more young people into the trade. It is I have 3 daughters, all 3 will go to college, but that's not always the fit for everyone. And if we can open the door to bringing in more apprentices and training them through the system and then actually educating them to go out there and be able to know, I mean, plumbing's a tough thing to learn. I you know, they're in the field for 20 years and they still run into things they've never seen before. But being able to bring in a team that's innovative and willing to think outside the box, I hope in 3 years we've kind of established ourselves as the educating company here. And then young people are coming to look for us. Or
That
somebody
would be
looking
awesome.
to change fields, that they're coming to look for us to actually get them in their right place and get in a truck. Yeah.
I love it. You have a lot of passion on the education side, which is really, really cool. I don't hear that a lot from people in the service business, so it's really refreshing. Um, 2 more questions, Amy, and I'm gonna let you go. What advice would you give someone starting a residential plumbing company today?
Don't read all the books that tell you how to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, all these coaches and it's all out there, right? And they're like, you step 1, step 2, step 3, put this person in place. This is your accountability chart and all these things. Um, don't be tied down to following it black and white. Look inside the gray, because inside the gray is where you're going to find what makes you different from the companies next to you that you're trying to compete with eventually.
I love that. Look in the gray. I'm gonna steal that one too. I like that one too, Amy. Okay, last thing. What's something you wish more homeowners understood about choosing a plumber?
Well, here in the state of Texas, the state has a great licensing and we uphold it, right? So, and there's a lot of states, it's easier to get a plumbing license. In the state of Texas, it takes 4 years to become a journeyman, essentially. And that alone, if more homeowners understood that that is an education experience that comes with those hours, and trust and actually ask, are you a licensed plumber? Because it's really easy to get the guy who isn't licensed. And then let us educate you. So part of what we want to do is we want to know your home better than you know your home. We want to come out every year and look through it. We have a membership where we come and we do a plumbing inspection every year for you. We keep those notes. So if you call, we know exactly what's going on and how your home is. Let us educate you on how to prevent. So what do they say? There's 5 reasons plumbing fails, but really it's maintenance, age. Those are 2 of them. And how do we help educate our customers? Water quality is another, but how do we educate our clients and the people that can put their faith in us so that they aren't having these what's the word? But anyway, catastrophic issues plumbing wise,
Sure,
let us teach you and help you maintain your home because it's your biggest asset, right? Most of the time,
100%.
your home is your biggest asset, and the better you maintain it, the better it holds its value.
Yeah, no, 100%. And at some point, you're probably going to want to sell that asset, right? So you need to make sure it's in good shape. Amy, it has been awesome talking to you. I've got a lot of great value. I hope our listeners have too. If someone wants to learn more about Clearwater Plumbing and find you, how do they go about doing that?
I mean, I just talked about TikTok, so apparently we're on there, and we like to share our culture on there, so you can see a little bit about who we are. And then also www or clearwaterplumber.com. Um, and we're here in Northwest Fort Worth. We have the greatest team that answers the phone. They would love to have a conversation with anybody that wants to talk plumbing.
Great. Well, Amy, thank you so much. It's a Friday here in Dallas, Fort Worth. So I hope you have a great, great weekend. And it's been such a joy visiting with you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Todd. It's been awesome.